Wherever Rosie O'Donnell's gone, she's probably eating a leprechaun. She's our hero of the day for leaving America if Trump won and relocating to Ireland, where she's still not funny. So many celebs say they're going to do it but never do. But does she have any regrets?
I have no regrets. Not a day has gone by that I thought it was the wrong decision. I was welcomed with open arms. I knew after reading Project 2025 that if Trump got in, it was time for me and my non-binary child to leave the country.
What happens when a celebrity threatens to leave the country if their political enemy wins? And then they actually do it. It's a promise we've heard 1,000 times, but it's almost always an empty threat. But not for Rosie O'Donnell. She packed her bags and relocated to Ireland, claiming it was a necessary escape from a nation on the brink of collapse under Donald Trump. She said she had no regrets, that it was time for her and her family to leave. But the story of why Rosie O'Donnell really left America is far more complex than a simple political protest. It's the final dramatic chapter in a career defined by dizzying heights, spectacular crashes, and a relentless hunger for the spotlight. The reasons she gave are just the surface. The real story is about a queen who lost her kingdom and a fighter who ran out of battles to win.
Greg Gutfeld, join me now for Where Are They Now? Political Style. By the way, they never give you the real reason why they're leaving. Like Ellen DeGeneres says she was going to London because of Trump. No, it's because she was a monster and everybody hates her. That's the same thing with Rosie. You know why she's leaving, right? We know why she's leaving. Come on, we know. It's literally an ego trip. Once nobody likes you, you just leave.
And so you had to as well. The following clip from Sex and the City, their latest sequel. I don't know.
Oh, I know what this is. Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Jashinsky, but it's happening. It's happening.
Oh, no.
For the listening audience, we are about to see Miranda, the character played by Cynthia Nixon, who is so annoying, in bed with a virgin nun played by Rosie O'Donnell. I just threw up a little in my mouth. Go ahead, roll it.
You are amazing.
Oh.
I have never experienced anything like that.
Ew. Oh my God. I'm so grossed out, Emily. You have to talk. I can't.
Before she was a political firebrand, Rosie O'Donnell was the undisputed Queen of Nice. In the 1990s, her daytime talk show was a juggernaut of wholesome, family-friendly entertainment. She was America's best friend, the cheerful, down-to-earth celebrity who loved Tom Cruise, threw koosh balls into the audience, and championed Broadway musicals. She built a sugary sweet empire on being relatable and kind, a safe space in the often chaotic world of daytime TV. Her brand was so powerful that a single mention on her show could turn a book into a bestseller overnight. She was everywhere, loved by everyone, and it seemed like her reign as America's sweetheart would last forever. But beneath that sunny Kmart-sponsored facade, a different personality was brewing, one that was sharper, more confrontational, and far more volatile. And it was only a matter of time before that other Rosie was introduced to the world.
Else betrays them. Not disclosing when you're in bed with somebody that you have herpes. It's important to disclose before you have interludes that you have the herpes virus. I'm sorry, Exhibit A. Here is Rosie O'Donnell bitching and moaning about her favorite person, Donald Trump. I think this is before she moved. I can't keep track of where she's living in the world to avoid him. Watch. She came out later and told the world she has Donald Trump inflicted herpes from stress. And I wonder, Eliana, whether really there was a legal obligation there for her to disclose that to the character of Miranda.
I have to say she seems to be in a lot worse condition than Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace in terms of fighting fascism or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't even have a response to that.
No, you
I don't think
can't. It's
anybody
stomach
wants to
turning.
see that.
It's too
If
upsetting.
anybody wanted to
Donald
see
Trump
that.
would never inflict herpes on Rosie O'Donnell. I think he's made that very clear.
The first major cracks in the Queen of Nice persona appeared when she joined the panel of The View. The friendly talk show host was suddenly replaced by a fierce political combatant, ready to go to war over the headlines of the day. The show became a verbal battlefield, and Rosie was its most formidable warrior. Her on-air clashes were legendary, but nothing compared to her explosive, split-screen showdown with conservative co-host Elizabeth Hasselbeck. The argument was so intense, so personal, that it felt like watching a friendship disintegrate in real time. In that moment, the mask didn't just slip, it was torn off completely. The public saw a new Rosie, aggressive, righteous, and unwilling to back down. She was no longer America's best friend. She was a polarizing figure who either inspired fierce loyalty or intense dislike. The era of the Queen of Nice was officially over, and the age of Rosie the political crusader had begun.
Julie, she seems miserable, and it doesn't really matter where she goes. She's trying to get away from whatever is inside her, because I looked at her and I go like, wow, she has changed.
I mean, she's changed, but she's also the same. But I love that she deported herself because she's so upset about the illegals being deported. So she deported herself, which is good for her. But I don't know if she really did her homework because Ireland has a ton of illegals.
Yeah.
In fact, Ireland and the United States are both actually right up there. England's not doing much better. So Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell, I guess, are where they should be. But I love that they actually.
But no issue would define this new era more than her long, bitter, and deeply personal feud with Donald Trump. This war of words started long before he ever considered a run for president, sparked by a celebrity spat over his handling of a Miss USA controversy. But what began as a typical celebrity feud quickly spiraled into something much darker and more obsessive. For Rosie, it became a personal crusade. She used her platform on The View and later her massive Twitter following to relentlessly attack him. He, in turn, fired back with cruel personal insults. Their battle became one of the most infamous celebrity rivalries of the modern era. But as Trump's political star began to rise, Rosie's commentary grew more frantic, more desperate. The feud was no longer just a headline-grabbing spectacle. It had become the central organizing principle of her public identity, an obsession that would follow her for years and ultimately lead to one of the most bizarre television moments in recent memory.
Oh, my God. I'm so grossed out, Emily. You have to talk. I can't.
You're grossed out, but you're not sorry. You're just forced us.
Why should I be the only one who suffers? You all have to suffer. We're in it together.
I guess I saw it trending and I was like, oh, I can't click on this. I can't. And you know what? Actually, though, I think by watching it, it's just such an example of how bad the writing is on that show. Like the writing on some of these shows, it's like they put it into like progressive chat GPT and come up with just like the worst dialogue. It's so bad.
In a plot twist that no one saw coming, Rosie O'Donnell's personal vendetta against Donald Trump bled into her acting career in the most surreal way possible. In a guest role on the Sex and the City sequel, and Just Like That, she delivered a storyline that left audiences completely bewildered. Her character, in a moment of post-intimacy confession, revealed that she had a case of stress-induced herpes. But this wasn't just any stress. She claimed with a straight face that the condition was brought on specifically by the trauma of Donald Trump's presidency. The scene was jaw-dropping. It blurred the lines between fiction and reality, turning a TV show into a stage for her personal grievances. To many, it felt less like a character's story and more like Rosie herself screaming her political frustrations through a fictional mouthpiece. It was a head-scratching moment that cemented her reputation for letting her political obsessions consume every part of her public life. and it made her next move seem almost inevitable.
On Rosie O'Donnell, I think he's made that very clear.
Since Eliana refuses to play, Emily, I've got another soundbite for you.
I didn't even know Sex and the City was back on the air. I saw it when
it's happening. You have to react live to the herpes. I'm sorry.
And I was like, oh, you know what? The culture stuff, that's Emily's bailiwick anyway.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's another beauty. This is Rosie in another scene singing to Miranda. Enjoy.
Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed for good.
It's from Wicked.
I take Eric.
With this context, her move to Ireland suddenly looks very different. She framed it as a noble escape, a principled stand against the rise of Project 2025 and a potential second Trump term. She portrayed herself as a political refugee, fleeing a country she no longer recognized. But was it really a brave protest, or was it a quiet retreat? For years, Rosie had been fighting a public war, but her influence was waning. Her talk shows were a distant memory, and her online presence had become an echo chamber of outrage. Was she running from a political future she feared, or from a career that had already cooled in America? It's easy to look like a martyr when you leave, but it's also a convenient way to exit a stage where the audience has stopped applauding. Her self-deportation felt less like the start of a new resistance and more like the final quiet admission of defeat in a battle she could no longer win.
Rosie O'Donnell ditching the U.S. for Ireland in the wake of Trump's victory, and the president is responding. Watch it.
You know, you have Rosie O'Donnell. Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is? Yeah. You're better off not knowing.
Wow, hardest hit, not even knowing who she is. That one's got hurt. But she did prove that self-deportation can work, right?
Yeah, they'll find out soon enough when she gets there and eats them out of house and home. You know, I have this idea, and I'm going to give it to Fox Nation because that's the kind of person I am. You know, the V8 specials, Where Are They Now? Yeah. They need to do Where Are They Now for political moments. The legendary debate, Trump, Megyn Kelly, Rosie O. Where are they? So you have where did one catapulted to the presidency, one went to NBC and then to podcast stardom, and the other one went to the land of the potato.
If there's one thing Rosie O'Donnell has mastered beyond the art of shouting into the void.
Enter Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly, two media personalities who have built their careers on dismantling what they see as celebrity hypocrisy. In their view, Rosie O'Donnell isn't a brave activist. She's a cautionary tale. They watched her flee the country and immediately called it what they believed it was, an ego trip. Their takedown was surgical. They argued that Rosie didn't leave because of Trump, but because she couldn't handle no longer being the center of the American universe. Gutfeld pointed out that when celebrities lose their popularity, they often invent a noble reason to disappear. Kelly, who has her own storied history with both Trump and Rosie, dissected the bizarre herpes storyline as the ultimate proof of a mind consumed by political hatred. Their collective verdict was brutal and clear. Rosie O'Donnell is a figure trapped in a cycle of her own making, a perpetual victim who casts herself as the hero in a story where she is the primary antagonist.
Rosie is so outspoken. Imagine the horror in being a Democrat, like maybe a normal Democrat, like an old, blue dog Democrat, Eliana, and having one of the people most associated with your brand out there pointing to some huge growth right underneath her nose, saying it might be a pimple or it's a herpes, and then delivering an update, it's a herpes. I have herpes. Look at my herpes virus. It was caused by Donald Trump, and then asking us to picture her in bed with a vibrator and Cynthia Nixon. And then they're like, why can't we get young men on Team Blue? What is it?
Ultimately, Rosie O'Donnell's journey is a masterclass in how fame, ego, and a profound lack of self-awareness can be a destructive cocktail. She went from the Queen of Nice, a figure who united millions, to a self-exiled commentator who thrives on division. Her story is a perfect example of what happens when a public figure loses the plot. When their personal grievances become so loud, they drown out everything else. While she may see herself as a champion of the people, fighting the good fight from across the ocean, others see a different picture. A woman screaming into the void, wondering why no one is listening anymore. And perhaps the greatest irony of all is that in her desperate quest to escape her greatest nemesis, Rosie O'Donnell has become one of his greatest sources of content. She is the gift that keeps on giving for commentators like Gutfeld and Kelly, a walking, talking caricature of the very outrage she claims to oppose. The Queen of Nice is long gone, and in her place is a cautionary tale, a lesson in how to lose an empire, one public meltdown at a time. 63 coins 6.